Well, you guys are getting your questions ready. Why don't we just kind of go over the basics of title insurance and what title insurance is. So probably the biggest question that I get from people is, what is title insurance? And the main difference in title insurance is it's not personal property. You're not insuring a fence, a house, as far as the personal property goes. You're actually insuring the title. So it's an indemnity policy that protects even beyond your ownership of the home. So when you have a title policy, even after you sell it, that title insurance protects you forever. So it protects you against title clouds, it protects you against future claims, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But the main thing is it's non-personal property insurance.
Okay, so let me ask you, but I know this will help someone that's on here. Fencing, is it insurance for not the actual fence, but the encroachment?
Yes, a fence is most of the time, or all of the time actually, a fence is a really important reason to have a survey, which we're going to kind of go over as well. But fences create a lot of title issues or a lot of title claims. Where the fence is in relation to the property. Is it on your property? Is it on your neighbor's property?
Right.
With the hurricane, where it fell, did it fall on their property?
So, and a lot of times you'll find too, you buy property that, especially out in the rural areas, larger pieces of property, people that have lived there for a long time, and they have multiple buildings on the property, a barn, you know, and they think they know where their property lines are, and they don't. And they build a barn, and let's say 1 foot of it is on your property.
That's an encroachment.
Yes.
Yes. And so all of those things are included in a survey. When they do a land survey, they will, you know, include in all of the boundaries, the easements, fences, sheds, anything additional on the property is marked exactly where it is on the property. And we just had a case recently where we had to go back and pull a survey for an owner because their neighbor was trying to convince them that their fence was on their property. Yeah. And so we showed them how to read it on the survey, and the fence was not. However, the fence did encroach a little bit into the county land. Okay. So, you know, we just showed them where that was as well. And that's another common area of encroachments on a survey is, you know, the line might extend just a little bit beyond to include, you know, a stop sign, for example, or a sidewalk.
So what about utility easement? Would that play in part too?
Utility easements are very common. That's another reason it's so important to have a survey. The last thing you want to do is buy a piece of land and then realize that the electric company is going to run a line of poles straight through the middle of it, which is also does happen.
So, and then also here in Florida, we have a lot of wetlands.
Yes.
And wetlands are protected by the Fish and Wildlife. And so you can have part of the wetlands on your property, but they have access to it. So what that means is, let's say an endangered turtle gets in your yard. It gives them the right to come in to your fence to get the turtle. So that's basically what that is. So.
Right. I mean, does that pretty much cover the survey? I guess we need to go into a little bit more detail what the survey does. We kind of got...
Right. And then also, if you purchase a home and you have a survey, keep it.
Yes.
Don't get rid of it.
Yes. When you have your survey, the survey company will give you several signed, stamped originals. You should get those at closing. Keep those in your file. You're going to need them. You're going to need them if you ever want to sell the property, for references, for different things as time goes on. You're going to need those. So that's the reason they typically give you 5 to hold on to that are certified. And anytime that you go to do anything, you are going to need that certified copy. A lender's not going to accept a digital copy. They want raised seal along with an affidavit.
And some fence companies will want to see it also.
Correct.
Fence companies, even some landscapers, if you're doing a pool or things like that, they'll want to see your survey.
Yes.
So.
One of the things that I did want to touch on a survey is maybe the times when the buyer may not have to get a new survey. And a case where that would be is if the seller has the original survey certified by the survey company, and no changes have been made. And in this area especially, we see that a lot with some of the D.R. Horton homes and some of the developments where the homes have been built within the last couple, 2-3 years, and there haven't been any changes since they bought it. So we take the original certified survey as well as a survey affidavit from the seller that says nothing has changed from the time that I bought this, and I certify that I am selling this property as it is shown on the survey. So that's a time where a buyer may not necessarily need, or we would feel comfortable enough to go ahead and issue title insurance without a new survey.
Okay, so Tina says, since we did not have a home survey done, will we get a copy of the original certified copy at closing?
Yes, you will. Yes, you will get a certified copy. And when you go to sell it,
hang on to it.
Yeah, hang on to it. Your buyers will then, it will become their responsibility to buy it, to get a new survey if you guys ever decide to sell.
Hey, Kristen. So, and then if you put a small shed or anything in the back, that plays a part in needing a new one as well. So.
Yes, anything that is not anything that would be on the property after the survey was completed has to be on there. Fences, sheds, any kind of additional buildings.
Okay.
Things like that.
Awesome. Does that answer your question, Tina? I hope so. We'll come back to you.
We have another question.
By the way, there is a delay here.
Yeah.
So
we have a pretty good delay.
We are not ignoring you. So if you have typed a question and we're just not paying attention, it looks like
we're not ignoring you.
It's not come through yet.
So. Okay, the third one that we get a lot, and I know you and I had talked about this, is what's the difference between prepaids and closing costs?
Yes.
And a lot of times this is something that is going to happen when someone has a loan. So your prepaids are related to the loan. So those are things like your homeowner's insurance, sometimes property insurance or mortgage insurance payments. Those are collected at closing, and that's on a case-by-case basis by the lender. Your closing costs are things that you're going to pay the title company to actually do the closing. So your settlement fee, your title insurance, your municipal lien search, which was another thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're going to have to break some of this down because, hey Neil, but also I know we deal with this on a daily basis. And, we're used to hearing these terms and, but I know it's Greek to some people, and some of it is still Greek to myself. So, we're wanting you to understand what you're paying. And
we want to keep it super simple.
Yes.
So if we're using terms that you're like, wait a minute, just, pop a little comment up there. We're trying to really kind of keep it simple. So if we say something that you're like, wait a minute, I don't know what that is, just chime in and we'll.
So I learned something from Deanne. So prepaids.
Yes.
So we have, you've got HOA fees.
Yes, HOA fees are typically not part of your prepaids.
Okay.
But it is on a closing statement.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Do some HOAs require it, I guess, do you have to pay up front is my question.
Okay, whenever you have a contract, you'll see on the seller's side an estoppel fee.
Okay.
An estoppel letter gets sent to your homeowners association, and there's a series of questions that they answer for us. And that is really set by the HOA. In the state of Florida, they can charge a maximum of $250 to take the time to stop and fill out that estoppel. And what that information is, what are your fees, when are they paid, what's your current status on your account, and most of the time they'll tell us what they would like us to collect. If there's no instructions, we typically collect a couple of months. Okay. Or if it's a property that's more, or a quarter, depending on where the property is.
Okay.
But all of that information is provided to us in the estoppel. So if you see that weird word estoppel on your HUD or your closing disclosure,
it's a real word.
It's a real word, and that's what it is. It tells us all that information that we need to know from the HOA. So the part of the prepaid that is HOA is your homeowner's insurance. Okay, not your HOA part, just the homeowner's insurance.
Sorry, I'm messaging a couple of people that I know probably would like to join in, and I know they're probably pretty busy, so if I'm looking down, I'm just messaging a few people. So.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any new questions, or should we just go down our list? Okay. The fourth thing that I wanted to talk about are what fees can change and what fees are set and are going to be the same no matter which title company you use. So this is something that's pretty important because in the state of Florida, the state sets the majority of our fees that we charge as a title company. The state actually says this is what you can charge. Now some of them are a little ambiguous and some of them say a minimum of or a maximum of. Well, on the minimum, you can see where those can get a little bit higher. Those are the ones that you want to pay attention to. The places that the state does not set are the closing fee.
Okay.
And then you'll see like little fees like wire fees, copy fees, technology storage fees. It can go on and on and on.
That's crazy, some of the things.
So it just depends on how the closing company handles that. But those are the ones that you need to look for. Your title insurance itself is set by the state. Your doc stamps, which is what you're going to pay at closing to transfer the deed or to transfer the mortgage, to create the mortgage, those are set by the state.
Can you explain doc stamps?
Yes. So there's two sets of doc stamps. One is if you're just selling or buying and paying cash.
Okay.
And those are the doc stamps that are for the deed. And so that is calculated by the purchase price.
Okay.
Okay. So that varies based on what your purchase price is. And if you want to know what that amount is, you can always go to my website, which is defendertitle.com. There's a calculator in there. If you put the address and the purchase price, it'll calculate all those fees for you so you know what they are. Your other doc stamps, there's two sets of doc stamps that can go along with a mortgage. So you have your intangible and then you have your mortgage doc stamps. Okay. And those are also based on the mortgage amount. Okay, so that depends on the mortgage. There are loans that are, exempt from that. So that would depend on what your lender is. But those amounts, if you are being charged, those amounts are set by the state.
So, and to touch on what she's saying about mortgage amount, you can purchase a home, let's just say for $250,000, and your mortgage is only for $150,000. Say you have sold another property, you take that money and put it in a new property. So that's, you could have both.
Yes.
That's where the mortgage part comes from. So
right. So if you have a home, if you have a loan and your sale price, then you're going to have two sets of doc stamps. If you're paying cash, you're just going to have the one set. And then you'll have recording fees on both. And your recording fees are also set by the state. Your recording fees are $10 for the first page and $8.50 for every page thereafter.
Okay.
So a typical deed is going to be $18.50. Most of our deeds are 2 pages. We also do have a fee of $4.50 for filing. We file everything electronically if at all possible. It saves time and money to get to the courthouse.
Definitely.
So that's pretty much it on the doc stamps and the fees of the deed and the mortgages. The lender fees are going to be separate and set by the lender.
Right, and each lender is a little different.
And each loan's different.
Yeah,
each loan's different. Okay, did we have any questions on prepaids? I don't see any questions up there. All right, the fees. The other one was, do you have the right to choose a title agent?
Yes.
So you do absolutely have the right to choose a title agent in the state of Florida. The typical FAR contract, which is the Florida Association of Realtors contract, I should say, it allows either the buyer or the seller to choose who is going to be the title company. The only caveat to that is whoever chooses is also the one who pays the fees. So in most cases, the seller chooses the title company. And it is supposed to be the seller or the buyer themselves, but in all honesty, it's typically the agent who chooses. And the reason that is because when you go into buying or selling a property, you're going to spend a lot of time on the phone, or the agent is going to spend a lot of time on the phone with their title company.
Yes.
On the phone, emailing, there's a ton of communication that goes back and forth. So they want to work with someone that they know they can communicate well with.
Exactly.
And it's extremely important in getting everything smoothly through closing. So even though it's officially the seller or the buyer, it's typically the agent who chooses, because they're going to be the one on that end that has to deal with the title company.
Right, and if you, there's been many a times I've had to call Deanne and ask her, late at night, and hey, what does this mean? Can you help me with this? What do we do about this? And I need somebody that can communicate, and not that I would do that to everybody. She's just special. She's my own call, but yeah, she's always there for me. So it makes things a lot smoother for the buyer and the seller.
Yes.
Not just the agent.
Yes.
Because you have issues that arise and you need to be able to give them answers, and I need somebody that I can count on.
Yes.
So.
And a lot of the times the questions that come up are things that we can handle without them having to worry about it, because they don't speak this language. And so unless it's something that is a true issue that needs to be resolved, most of the time the title company and the agent can deal with it, and the buyer and the seller don't even need to worry about it. Obviously if it's something that they need to, we'll bring it to their attention, but that's the beauty of having a good relationship between the agent and the title company, is it makes the closing go so much smoother. By the time everything's said and done at the closing table,
right,
done deal.
Okay.
Were you going to ask something else when I asked that one?
Where were we?
We're down to number 6, which is taxes.
No, I think that was just basically it on that part. So
okay. Did you want to talk about how they're charged in Florida?
Well, we can, and touch base on homestead, which some people they still don't even understand what homesteading is. And basically, what you're doing is the state of Florida wants to know that you are making this your primary residence. So some people have vacation homes here, of course, condos and such, but they live in another state.
Right.
But if you make your home your primary residence, you're given a tax break on that. And it's a good amount. And if you have an escrow account, it affects that. So that lowers your monthly mortgage. So I know some military members, they like to keep their place of residence in another state, and I understand that, because sometimes they're not here long enough. But if you plan to be here, what you need is a copy of your deed, and you have to have your driver's license and your tags transferred to Florida. And once you close on a property, it takes 30 days to get your copy of your. Does it usually come in about 30 days, or?
They should get it sooner than that. They should copy of their deed. Yeah, they should get it sooner. They should get it within. Honestly, they should get it within a week. The copy of their deed.
We didn't.
Well, sometimes people wait and send the deed with the title policy, and that takes 3 to 4 weeks. But it's pretty immediate. We e-record the day of closing. Okay. So the deed will be available the day of closing. So what we usually do is we email the recorded deed the day of closing, and then we send the original documents when we print the title policy, which is within 3 to 4 weeks. Okay. But anybody who wants it prior to, they can always call us. Like if they're like I have a closing tomorrow where the HOA actually wanted to make sure that they got their information sooner than normal. I usually just send it through the mail. They wanted it immediately. Okay. So we can email it to them immediately so that they can make that transfer. Okay.
And then, so homesteading, if you're purchasing a property and the previous owner was not homesteaded, the tax amount that you're seeing for the previous year is going to be higher. It's a higher estimate. So that rolls into your closing costs, correct? Or
it will, because your pro rata taxes are going to be based on that amount. So you may show on your taxes, because our taxes are billed in arrears, you may show that your taxes are higher than what they're actually going to be, because we're having to estimate based on the previous year. Okay. So, and homestead is about more than taxes. Right. Homestead protects the estate. Like if you're married, because of homestead, you're not allowed to just sell the property out from underneath your spouse. There's also a lot of protection in there. It protects you after your death, and it also protects you from debts. There's certain judgments that if they're held against one party, let's say the husband has judgments and you're married, they can't go after the home for those debts because
the wife's protected.
The wife is protected.
Or vice versa.
Yeah. So it's you definitely can save on your tax bill, but there's other protections that are built into the homestead.
Right. But both the husband and the wife, they both have to have their tags and license.
Yes, you need to be able to prove that you're actually living here. It has to be your primary residence. Another thing to keep in mind is that you actually have to be a real person. A company, like someone who comes in as an investor, a company is not given homestead. It has to be a real person, what they call a natural person.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Does that pretty much answer homestead questions?
Yes.
Okay. I know a couple of people had asked questions about new builds.
Yes.
Especially with the hurricane, this is something that's going. New builds. There are different fees for a new build from a title company perspective. And this is just kind of on an individual basis. If you want to know, if you're planning on building and you want to know, give me a call at the office, and I can kind of go over in more detail because it really varies on what kind of loan you're getting. It's a little more lender affected than just title company. But there's a lot of that going on right now because of Hurricane Michael. Right. So feel free to give me a call and I'd be happy to kind of go through the fees with you, and let you know what you're looking at.
And then also when this video will be posted on my page, so you can share it, and if you have any questions, I'll have Deanne's information on my page, so you can contact her, email, or I'll have her office number on there too. Mm-hmm. And then if you go on and follow my page, I know most of you have liked my page, but if you go on and follow, when we do Facebook Lives, it'll alert you. Mm-hmm. So that's helpful.
And I know you're going to be doing more because you had a lender last week,
right? This
week title, so I know you're going to keep going.
Yeah, and Christmas is next week, so it probably won't happen next week just because of Christmas. So
I hope not. Enjoy your family.
Right. So the following week, though, probably.
Okay, you want to talk about mortgage payoffs?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So a common question is, what happens to my existing mortgage when I go to sell my house? And so I'll give you just kind of the basics of what happens. We will request a payoff. Most of the time you have to do that and provide it to us. The banks, because of privacy, I'm not going to be able to pick up the phone and call Wells Fargo and say, hey, send me a payoff for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So they want you to request it. You request the mortgage payoff and send it to me. And then at closing, we as the title company prepare that payoff, we wire it to the lender and completely close that loan. Now typically there will be a per diem in there, and there's a couple of extra days that we provide just to make sure that there's no errors or shortages. Right. We don't want there to be a shortage on the mortgage. Once they pay that off, we follow up and make sure that the mortgage company records a satisfaction of mortgage, because that needs to be done as well. And then the proceeds, or whatever money is left after your payoff, then that gets paid to the seller at closing. So the buyer sends their money in, we take the money, pay the payoff, pay all of the fees that were attached to the closing, and then the proceeds, or what the money that is left over, we wire to the seller. And we do wire most of the time. Mm-hmm. We do have clients who prefer old-fashioned checks, and that's fine. We do that as well. Right. We have specific guidelines that we follow because of wire fraud and things like that. Right. And that's another reason why we try to touch base with both buyer and seller pretty much immediately when we get a contract, so that they have a good rapport with us. They know my voice, they know my phone number.
If you ever get an email requesting for you to send money, mm-hmm. please call and verify. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of that this past year.
Well, and people, they'll go on and they'll say, oh, April emailed such and such. And so they will copy her email, and to you it may look like this email is coming from April. So a couple of things to know in advance. April's not going to give you information regarding your wire. That doesn't come from her. That comes from your title company. And most of the time, your title company is not ever going to change wiring information. So just let that be in your mind, that if you get a message from somebody saying, hey, we need to give you new wiring instructions, that should definitely set off a red flag. And everything that you get from me from the second that I receive your contract makes reference to that no one will give you wiring instructions, and even my wiring instructions are sent through a secure portal for those particular reasons. So just it's always good to question. There's no problem. Call me 10 times. It's so much better than inadvertently wiring your money to someone that is not who you thought it was.
Right. It's been so sad for some folks.
Yes.
It really
is. And it happens every day.
It does, unfortunately.
Every day.
Okay, so, and then, so far as proceeds, when a seller closes the wire, you wire the money to the mortgage company, pay off the mortgage, and their proceeds are paid to them by check, or they get a deposit, or
however they request it. So they can either get it by wire or by check. There is a fee by wire because we get charged to wire money. There is no fee for a check, but most of the time the sellers want their money, and they want access to it. So the majority of the time we do a wire.
Okay.
If they bank with our bank posts it immediately, so it's not a big deal.
That's nice.
You know.
That's nice.
But that is up to it's their discretion, whatever they want to do.
Okay, and so, and it's available immediately, right?
That day. Closing day is closing day because all the money is handled that day.
Okay.
All the money is handled that day.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. That's the only thing people want. Show me the money.
Okay, let's see. We got anything else that we want to
The last thing we kind of already touched on was what kind of things would cause a claim. Like people are like, okay, great, I paid this money for title insurance. Am I ever going to need it? You know? So the good news is that title claims are small. The percentages are pretty small. They're under 5%. But the reason they're small is because the work that goes into preparing the title, the search is extensive. Any kind of title defects that might need to be handled, we handle at closing.
Okay.
So there may be some addendums that have to be signed from sellers or family members or even ex-husbands and ex-wives in order for that title to be good. So that's part of the service that you're paying for, as well as making sure that that title is good and that you're not going to have an issue. But claims can still happen. So, sometimes it could be an unknown child pops up and, come to find out they actually have a claim on this home. So, especially that's why lenders require title insurance. But the one thing to keep in mind for lenders is title insurance on the loan only protects the loan. So if you didn't have owner's insurance as well as the loan, all that insurance would do is pay off the loan,
right,
but not the house. So the claim, you could still lose the house. Great, you pay off the loan, but you lost your house.
Yeah.
So that's the reason both of them are extremely important. A lot of claims are related to encroachments, fences,
right,
like we talked about, kind of crossing the line between property, neighbors, public works, or governing properties,
right,
that cross the line. So those are kind of the main areas where we would have a claim.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's good to know. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to...
I was just going to look and see if there's anything that we didn't hit on.
And like we said earlier in the video, if you have questions about new builds, contact Deanne. She can kind of go
if you have any questions that we didn't see your question, or if you just want to know, you can always call the office. Our phones are forwarded all the time, so we're always available. We're always happy to answer your question, even if we are not your title company. We're happy to answer your question and help out in whatever way we can, or even if you're just thinking about buying or selling.
That's why I love her. She's very helpful.
So yeah, we love what we do. We call ourselves title nerds.
That's funny.
But we do love what we do, and we love all the people that we work with, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
So does that make me a real estate nerd?
Yes.
Okay. I can say that. Okay. So, yes. Okay, well, like I said, I'm going to have this video on my page. She can have it on her page. We'll share it.
It'll be on the Defender Title page as well on Facebook.
Okay.
And I guess I'll have to get up my Instagram Defender Title page going. I'm a little behind the times on that.
I'm trying to push her towards that. She needs her Instagram business account. So
I got it.
But if I'll have our her information for her page, website, contact information, all that, and then follow us. It's important to follow, not just like the pages, but follow.
Because keep up with what's going on.
Exactly. So when I do live videos, or she posts new information, or it'll alert you. You'll know what's going on. You're not missing the information. So, and I'll probably do a video soon and walk people through that, and they change it all the time.
There is one more, they do. There is one more thing that I wanted to talk about that I forgot to write down, and that is that when you're doing your closing and you're talking to your title company, find out if you're dealing with a licensed title agent, because in Florida, the school, everything that we have to go through to become a licensed title agent is really important. And a lot of the title companies, they'll have 20 people that work in the office, but maybe one person that's actually a licensed title agent. And that's something that's important. Everyone in my office, we're all licensed title agents. And that's something that's important to us. The training, the schooling, the work that we have to do. We are not lawyers. But the work that we do, we are allowed to do because we are licensed title agents. So it's important that the person you have is licensed.
Very important. That would be like, you asking your neighbor to help you write a contract on a house. It's, even though your neighbor works for the real estate office, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's just not. So it's very important to have somebody that has the education and knowledge on what to look for and how to help you. There's things in there to help you that you wouldn't even understand or know about until they tell you. So
very true.
And I don't think.
Did we have any other questions?
No, not yet. Okay. Hi, Mom. Sheila's my mom.
Hi, Sheila.
But I think that's
I think that's it. Yeah, if anybody has anything else, post on the video and we'll respond, or give us a call and we will respond. And we'll post this on both of our pages.
I'm just checking my notes here.
I had 10 and I got all 10 of mine, so.
Well, how did I get 14?
Well, you probably had a couple that were included in the same.
Yeah, probably. Okay. And then, again, what? Did you see something? Am I missing something? In my shorthand?
No.
Can you read my shorthand?
We got it.
Okay. So, also, if you missed it earlier in the video, you do have the right to choose your title agency, but, I use the end all the time.
As much as possible.
Because she gets the job done. So, and that's the goal, to get the job done and make sure you're taken care of. So,
yeah, do it right and have fun doing it. We both work a lot, so it's important that you enjoy what you do, because we do spend so much time. Even when we're at home, we're on the phone or the computer. So it's important that you work with someone that loves what they do, and that you can feel that, because most of our clients that we work with kind of become our friends, and keep up with us even after they've come or gone, and that's important as well to us.
It is. Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining in.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for your questions.
And I'll post an update and soon, and let you know when I'll do another video. Like I said, with Christmas coming up, I'm gonna take a little break.
Yeah.
But I may post just a recorded video just to explain how to follow my page, because like I said, they change it a lot.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, just to explain it. But be on the lookout, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.